3 months ago, I was primed and ready to run my first ever marathon after 16 or so weeks of preparation, and I documented a lot of my training on this channel. Come the day that I was supposed to run my marathon, I got sick. Started seeing stars, and yeah, right now it's coming back a bit. I feel like I'm going to throw up, but I also feel like I'm going to pass out. I really need to sit down again. Oh. Feel discouraged, a bit disappointed. Oh, that's good. Oh. 2 weeks of recovery, and along with losing a huge amount of my fitness due to also tapering for 2 weeks prior to getting sick, I also lost a lot of self-confidence and love for running. I felt incredibly disappointed in myself, as if being sick wasn't a good enough reason to not run for almost 5 hours straight. I felt like I let everyone down. I felt frustrated and angry about getting sick, and then I made myself the victim and the villain. I just felt like a disappointment, and the last thing I wanted to do was run. The biggest lesson that I took from the setback was that the issue began before I got sick. I can't pinpoint when, but somewhere in my training block, I made myself a victim to this intense training that comes along with marathon prep. Like, I asked for this, I wanted this goal. I even actually programmed my training myself, and no one actually cares what I do. Like, realistically, I didn't have to do any of this, I chose to. Somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that I needed to run this marathon in order to be a good enough girlfriend to my partner, or a good enough coach to the members of the gym that I work at, or just a worthy enough person to be cared about by anyone, including myself. I lost sight of the reason that I was pursuing this in the first place. That was the problem. And that's what made it so much harder when I couldn't follow through with it, regardless of the reason. It also made me feel pretty anxious in that tail end of the training block, which is not what you want. Whilst I felt like shit, I could still see the logical side of it. So I forced myself back into running, just knowing that that discomfort was going to be temporary. And I set a new goal of getting faster. I haven't run anything longer than 10 kilometers in the last 3 months. I did a speed training block, a 10K time trial, which I got a pretty epic PB, so pretty stoked about that. And that helped me fall back in love with the training. And that's all thanks to not giving up and not letting that setback hold me back for good. Last week, I got back from Germany, where I did 8 days straight of hiking, which was a challenge that also instilled some more confidence within myself that I can still do hard things. Though I am still pretty shaken by the whole marathon fail, I have learned a lot of lessons that I have and will continue to integrate into the next marathon prep. So I'm ready to go again. And I'm also very nervous to go again, because I have these thoughts that creep in like, what if I get sick again? What if it's all for nothing? What if I can't do it? What if I get lost in it all and I lose sight of what really matters again? And that is the exact mindset that is going to tear me down and ultimately hinder my progress and my performance, but also, more importantly, my quality of life. I can do this. And even if shit hits the fan, even if I get sick again, the bigger goal is to be able to keep myself in a mentally healthy position, to be able to handle that or whatever gets thrown at me. And that marathon will always be there. I can do it whenever I want, and I don't even have to do it. I'm choosing to. I have to give myself the best possible chance at it. So along with a good training plan, I will also be keeping mental health top priority. Given how much I veered towards prioritizing other people's perspectives over my own in the last marathon training block, I was hesitant to share my journey online about this one. I debated working in silence, like the hustlers say, until after I ran the marathon, and then I would share it. But honestly, I like creating content and I like sharing my journey for different challenges, like my first bodybuilding show almost 4 years ago, like starting and growing my businesses, which I've also been pretty slack with sharing, admittedly, and the last marathon prep, of course, now this one. Creating content and then watching it back as I edit also offers me time to reflect and appreciate the hard work that I've done, rather than just doing a really long run and maybe hitting a PB and then posting it on Strava and then moving on to the next thing that I need to work towards. Like, this actually lets me appreciate the hard work I've done. Also, imagine being able to watch this back when you're older and being like, oh my God, look at me. I can do that. I can do whatever challenge is coming up in the future for you. And also kids, like if I get to have kids one day, I'll show them these videos and they'll be like, oh wow, mum is such a cool person. Not only did she achieve these things, but look, she had these setbacks. She didn't let it hold her back and she got up, she kept going, she achieved. Like, what a good example to set for the children. Along with also genuinely enjoying the process of documenting my journey and sharing it online, I also didn't like the idea of not doing something just because it was hard. Not sharing my journey in hopes to hide what I was doing, to avoid putting too much importance on other people's perspective, only reinforces how much power it has over me. It would only be putting a band-aid over the bigger issue that I want to overcome and not just ignore. So this journey is more than just a marathon, as cheesy as it sounds. Something I've been obsessed with saying and equally obsessed with living by is the sentiment grow from discomfort. I have even gone as far as putting it on my body forever. So I believe that the discomfort I experienced in last prep, everything that went wrong, is also everything that went right in order for me to grow into the person I need to be to achieve the things I want to achieve. Any discomfort that I will inevitably experience in this next prep will only provide me with more perspective, more opportunity, and more growth to achieve more than I could have ever imagined. So let me leave you with one last thing. Your setbacks are not the end of your story, maybe just the end of your chapter. Sharpen your pencils and start writing the next one. I'm done. Get me out of here.